channel. This is Luna over here. I am a real estate agent here in Philadelphia. So in today's video, I'd like to kind of just chit chat with you guys. The reason why I don't think I will ever leave the company that I'm with right now. I still remember in that back conference room that I'm gonna show you guys. So in this conference room, right in this conference room, that's the first time I met my broker. And at that time, I had only interviewed one other real estate company in Chinatown. So he was a recommendation from one of the people that worked at Keller Williams. So I went to meet Joey, and the first time I see him, he was sitting there. He was wearing glasses, so I was like, oh my god, he looks like really nerdy, you know? So I'm like, I hope this broker is not very conservative, because I think of myself as a very outgoing person, and I have all these different ways to promote on my business and marketing. So I just don't know if it's going to be a good fit. However, I know he is a very quiet type. He doesn't want to be the attention of the party, which is kind of who I am. So I don't want to choose a broker that has the same personality as I do. Then we will most likely go into collapse. So anyways, before I met Joey, I interviewed another Chinese real estate company. I went up and I was like, hey, so how much is your split? And they said, are you new? I was like, yeah. And they gave me 30-70. So I'm like, hell no. And then that's the next day I met up with Joey. I made up my mind. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna sign up with him. That's kind of how I met Joey, wow, a year and 6 months ago. When I first signed up with him, I remember the second day, he was like, do you want to come to the Northeast office, make you meet the rest of the staff and the people that work here? I was like, sure. So I went to meet him. He was so bad with texting message, I got really upset. So when I meet him the next day, I said, before I sign this form, I need you to know that if I text you, I want you to respond to me. He is the type that he sometimes will forget text message, but he always calls you right away. That's something that I figured out later on. So I'm gonna tell you guys 2 stories why I think I have made the right decision, okay? So the first one was, I remember when I signed up with this company the beginning of 2018, I was miserable because I didn't make any money from rental. I had pretty much used all my reserve. It was a really rough time, and Joey had went back to China for the Spring Festival. So he was gone for almost 2 weeks. And I was just desperate. I was like, hey, why are you coming back? Because I need help. I wanted to start doing business. So then after he came back, he signed up with a Zillow Premier agent. So he started forward me buyer leads, and I started working. I remember my first listing I got 3 months after, in March. When I had the first listing, it was actually a flip that he had done with 2 agents in the office. So I remember he went into the room and he asked those 2 ladies, he's like, hey, are you guys cool if I give Luna the listing? Obviously, I'm not going to charge 3% full commission. I'm only charging 1.5. And both of them agreed they don't have any issue with that, and we closed that deal in 2 months. And that was my first ever listing. Imagine how big of a deal that is for me, and how much I can learn through that progress. And if he wouldn't give me that chance, I would never know or learn so fast about how to deal with a listing or what kind of problem can occur. So I was really appreciate that about the first ever deal that he gave it to me, and the first chance that he has ever given it to me. And the second story that I'm going to tell you guys is, I had a investor that came from New York, and they are the cutest couple ever. So they bought first duplex with me, and then they bought a second duplex with me last year. So at the end of last year, we were set to close in December. Something happened, right? Their mortgage fell through with the first bank, then they switched to another bank. They're still on the, they're still on board of closing and purchasing this property. So we pushed it back to March, but then I took a whole month off in February. I went back to China for my wedding. So the listing agent, I remember I talked to you guys in another video, the listing agent was just pissed about the whole situation, and he was giving me just a lot of like attitude at the settlement table. So at that time, he had said something with the title search. I guess it was my fault at the part, I wasn't completely sure. So he was just blaming everything on me and saying it was my fault, and then I shouldn't have taken the whole month off to go back to China. And then we agreed that we were going to, you know, escrow a certain amount of money. And then so I went back to call my broker and asking for support. So Joey at the time, he write up the whole addendum. I was really appreciative because it was a tricky situation, and I was actually kind of scared because the deal is about to fall through. Someone is screaming at me in front of me at settlement, you know, table. And so he stopped everything he was doing at the time, and he was helping me with the addendum, and he forwarded to us like 5 minutes after. And that helped so much with that settlement and that closing. And then at the end, the listing agent won't give us the right amount for the rent because we were prorated for how much the rent that we're supposed to be getting because we're buying it with the tenants in. So we were arguing back and forth about the rent. So I was arguing with him, but I wasn't sure exactly what I was saying. So I went back and called him, and then he coached me through the whole, like what I'm supposed to say, like what's the right thing, what's the wrong thing. So it's just at a rough time, especially when you're dealing with something so complicated the first time, your broker is there to back you up. You know, it just having that full support, and I just don't feel like I'll get that anywhere else. And that's just two simple stories that I'm telling you guys. I feel like in society right now, it's really hard to find somebody who can have your best interest and coach you through and be your mentor. That's why if you guys are ever thinking about finding the right brokerage, just never stop looking, and you know, just find that right broker for you, because that honestly is going to help you tremendously for your growth in this business. So I just want to kind of share with you guys my story, like how I met Joey, how, you know, I don't ever think that I will leave my current company ever. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.